if you're like me, you just launched RE4, it might have been the demo, it might have been the full game. You launched it on the PS5 and it just doesn't look that good. For me, I launched it in performance mode and it didn't look right. It looked off. It looked like maybe the aliasing or the resolution was off. So I was thinking, how can I make this look right like a PS5 game? So there's a couple things that you can do. First, you can change it to quality mode, but all this is going to do is give you ray tracing. It's not going to fix the resolution or any of that. Plus, it's going to lock you to 30 frames. So there's a couple things that you can do. First, if you switch it to quality mode and turn off the ray tracing, it will give you 60 FPS. It's not going to be very stable. What I notice is the resolution still looks a little funky. It does look a little better in terms of the graphical fidelity, but the frame rate is still going to drop a little bit and the resolution or aliasing still looks a little funky or blurry. So what I ended up doing, and what has actually been on the screen for a second, is I downloaded the PS4 version of the game and I changed it to fidelity mode. So you're still not getting the ray tracing, which is the same as if you went on the PS5 mode, turned it to quality, and then turned off the ray tracing. And I'm going to put them side by side so you can see which one looks better. So on the left you have the PS5, which is in the resolution setting with the ray tracing turned off. If you have ray tracing turned on, it's going to set at 30 FPS. So, and then on the right you have the PS4 version with just fidelity mode or resolution mode, and it's 60 FPS. Based on this one, from what I saw, the PS4 looks a little better, just in terms of resolution and how clear it looks. But if you look on the ground in the PS5 resolution mode, you can see there's a little bit more grass, a little bit more foliage. So if that's a trade-off you want, then you can take that. But another thing you got to consider is the aliasing on the smaller objects like the grass. So here, in terms of the actual aliasing on the ground where that light area kind of comes in, I would say the light in the PS5 area actually comes out a little bit. So I would say the main differences is the lighting. I think the aliasing, you can't tell too much of a difference. But on the PS4 version, I noticed that the further you see out, the less blurry it seems. So just to be clear, the PS4 mode isn't actually on a PS4 console. It's on the PS5, and you're running the PS4 version of the game. That way, it still gives you 60 FPS. So overall, I would just say, first of all, definitely don't use the PS5 performance mode, because if you just use the fidelity mode and switch the ray tracing off, you'll still get the 60 FPS and it will look a lot clearer. Another thing is, I would just not choose any of the 30 FPS options, because if you're on a TV, you're going to get the same resolution with a PS4 fidelity mode, and it's going to run at 60 frames. So unless you really care about ray tracing, I wouldn't see anyone choosing that over the PS4 fidelity mode or the PS5 fidelity mode with the ray tracing off. I would recommend this. If you want the clearest option, go for the PS4 fidelity mode, and you won't get ray tracing, but the overall clarity of the picture is going to look a little bit nicer than the PS5 mode, even when the PS5 version is in fidelity mode too for some reason. Now, on the other hand, if you just want the best graphical fidelity and don't really mind a slightly less clear picture, go with the PS5 version. Then in the settings, turn off the ray tracing and turn on fidelity mode. That way you'll still get 60 frames, as well as having slightly better tessellation and textures. Just make sure you don't use the PS5 performance mode, because it just looks terrible compared to everything else and you aren't even getting an actual performance increase. I personally would also rule out ray tracing, because either way it's going to kill your frame rate or it's just going to make your resolution terrible. So yeah, really weird that the PS4 version actually looks clearer on fidelity mode than the PS5 version. So I think that's the mode I'm going to go with, is the PS4 fidelity mode, because it's giving me 60 frames and it looks really nice. I don't really care about the textures or whatever as much, but I guess that's up to you guys. Anyway, y'all, I hope I helped somebody out. If it did help you, I would appreciate if you just liked the video, help me out a little bit. But either way, I hope you enjoyed it. Have a good day.